presentation is a gift from the author, Dr. Tia Jolie Phillips. She is an entrepreneur, investor, and business owner, and the work presented here is an aggregation of her life experiences. She owned her first business in 1975 and began investing in 1977. Her hope is that you can take some of the success principles presented here and apply them in your own life so that you may experience happiness and abundance for yourself. Dr. Phillips suggests that you use this presentation as a life checklist to make sure that you're on track moving towards the things that are important to you, and as a tool to filter out the things that will steal your time, talent, and treasures. You may ask yourself why it is important for you to look at the world through the lens of a business owner. To answer that question, you should ask yourself what part of your life does not involve transacting value for value? After all, isn't that what business is? Isn't business all about an exchange of value? As you come to consider the truth of this concept, you will realize that all of us are in business for ourselves in one way or another. As you become more familiar with the business of your life, you'll learn that there are basically three main attributes that are important. The first is the business model itself. The second is the financial aspects of the business. And the third is the intangibles, the unseen, or what might be called the esoterics. Some of the information shared in these slides is subjective, so if you have thoughts that you'd like to share with the author, she encourages your feedback and ideas. As you move through life, you begin to form ideas of what's important to you and what's not important to you. You will also begin to see that some ideas are brilliant and work grandly, while others have a hard time getting traction. With this in mind, understand that business models can be very dynamic. What works in today's world may very well not work a dozen years from now. To test this concept, just consider how many blacksmiths you know today. One of the things you should consider as you look at any business model is whether or not it's ethical and legal. This should be very obvious because most of us consider ourselves moral. However, it's worthy to put this at the very top of this checklist just to make sure it's in the forefront of our minds. The ideas of scalable and portable may be foreign to you. Scalable simply means whatever you do for a small business can also be applied as the business grows and becomes even worldwide. Ubiquitous means it can be all places at once. For instance, the ideal business would be one that continues even when you're asleep. People across the world can be working to grow your business with or without your involvement. It can be at all places at all times. The internet has made this possible for many small businesses to scale and to become ubiquitous. The idea of portability simply means that you can stick your business on a laptop or a cell phone and live your life freely without being tethered to a brick-and-mortar business. Training and licensing requirements can often prove to be a damper to business. Consider professions like being an airline pilot or an emergency room surgeon. These require advanced skill sets and years of training to gain proficiency. Although those career fields are very honorable and important, in terms of the business model, they are not excellent choices. Additionally, adding licensing requirements adds another layer of complexity and another layer of expense. As business owners, we want things to be simple and inexpensive. Very few people can honestly state that they enjoy having a boss. Most people have been trained to accept the idea of being bossed around, but in truth, most of us want to be free. Almost every coffee room straw poll has revealed that the average employee feels they know more than the average boss. In truth, most bosses are looking to keep their jobs, not look out for you. As for employees, it's true that you can leverage your time and increase your revenues by having employees. However, you will also increase your expenses and certainly increase your headaches. The cost of having employees nowadays is off the charts, and the complexities associated with managing the employees is a full-time job. There are ways to get the job done through partnerships and with independent agreements that are much more efficient and effective than hiring employees. Virtually everybody has heard of franchises. There's hardly a city street but does not have a franchise of some sort at its major intersections. Franchises used to be one of the most popular forms of business, but the truth is they're very expensive. Even a so-called cheap franchise will set you back tens or thousands of dollars. Franchise owners opt for that sort of business because they can multiply themselves and, thus, multiply their revenues. The idea of being able to duplicate themselves and create a nonlinear income is very attractive, especially if the means and methods of the franchise are proprietary. In short, The idea of franchises is actually quite excellent if they were not so expensive. You should look for business opportunities that have the characteristics of franchises, but not the expenses. As mentioned above with franchises, you really want to have systems that are simple and duplicable. As an example, being a seasoned airline pilot is not simple and is duplicable only after many years of training. Therefore, creating a business model that is based on taking a brand new person, training them, giving them experience, then employing them as would be the case with airline pilots, would not be a very efficient business model. Oppositely, teaching somebody how to take a food order at a drive-up window would be much simpler and certainly easier to duplicate. The more simple you keep your business practices and the more easily they can be duplicated, the more likely you are to be able to leverage yourself to increase your profits. Many businesses are what are sometimes referred to as one and done. What that means is that whatever the business process involves, maybe selling a luxury automobile or airplane, is a one-time transaction. In the meantime, people will buy food, toiletries, pet supplies, and their other life requirements every week. The idea of having consumables means that you will have recurring business. People do not typically reuse their kitty litter or trash bags. And when the toothpaste, vitamins, or toilet paper run out, their choice is either to do without or to get some more. Therefore, consumables are very attractive when it comes to business. As more people become aware of the poisons and toxins around us all, many are looking for pure and clean ways to live their lives. Smart buyers are looking for clean, ethically sourced, chemical-free, natural, and not genetically modified or synthetic things in their bodies and households. They are willing to spend more and take more time to find things that are pure, wholesome, and natural. Similarly, the idea of being kind to the earth has become very central to the way people make their buying and living decisions. Therefore, we should very strongly consider having a business model that does not hurt the earth. In many cases, people want to know that other people and animals have not been mistreated in any way, and they will often avoid purchasing things that are known to damage the earth, its animals, or other people. For the most discerning buyers, unfair trade practices and the use of forced or child labor are absolute deal breakers, and rightfully so. It almost seems silly to say this, but your business model should be things that people definitely want. There's nothing more irritating than having somebody try to sell you something that you don't want or need. Having a diverse product selection or a diverse set of services is really attractive to buyers. People are very busy and they do not want to go multiple places to get things done. Therefore, if your business can offer many things that people want and need all in one spot, you can expect better profits and success. Consider modern-day megastores that offer everything now from dog food to light bulbs, power tools to garden supplies, and in many cases, even seasonal clothing. Top businesses will have a diverse product selection that yield improved profits. And, of course, many buyers are price-conscious. If your product or service is out of alignment with what a local market can bear, you will have struggles. Make sure you bring things to the market that are affordable. Many people overlook the importance of doing things differently than the competition. The best businesses are the ones that are not easily copied or replicated. For example, years ago, it would have been very novel for you to be able to sell CBD products at the corner store. However, nowadays you can find such stores sprinkled throughout the city, and there's almost no way to tell one from another in terms of the uniqueness of their product. Having something that nobody else has gives you a distinct business advantage. Moving on to the financial aspects, this is truly the acid test of your business model. You can have a terrific business idea, but if it does not make fiscal sense, why would you even move forward with the business model in the first place? Admittedly, there may be some instances where just breaking even with the business model is suitable for some people, but for our purposes with this presentation, it's about making profits. At the top of our list is the idea of residual incomes. Residual incomes are sometimes called passive incomes and colloquially sometimes referred to as mailbox incomes. Regardless of the nomenclature you use, residual incomes means simply that you do the work once and the money continues to pay you over a prolonged period of time. For example, if you write a Broadway screenplay that continues to be played for decades, that is a form of residual income. Similarly, you might write some computer code or a complex algorithm that pays you every time somebody uses it. This is another form of passive income. Many people errantly refer to rental property income as passive, but because rental properties require ongoing attention, if we're honest, those revenues are temporary or transient. Sadly, many people have run into situations in their work and in business where they are judged, marginalized, or otherwise limited in terms of how much they can make or how they can advance within the company based on their age, gender, or appearance. The perfect business would be blind to all of those things. Earlier, we talked about franchises being an excellent business model, except for the fact that they're so expensive. The idea of having a very low cost of entry for a new business is very attractive. If you can start a business for little or no money, the risk and break-even point are commensurately small. There are plenty of businesses available to people nowadays, especially those online, that are very attractive in this regard. One of the things that destroys businesses faster than anything else is when they bleed cash flow. Keeping the expenses under control is very difficult for the typical business. Therefore, keeping maintenance and ongoing costs to the minimum or to zero is a characteristic of the best businesses. The efficiencies associated with direct-to-consumer businesses have left retail establishments reeling. Modern-day strip malls are having a very difficult time because they also carry a lot of overhead. They have to pay for land, buildings, maintenance, taxes, insurance, security, and utilities before they even sell one product or offer one service. Therefore, the idea of having little or no overhead is very attractive. It's also intuitive that keeping little or no inventory would be more cost-effective too. Capital investments come in many shapes and forms. If you have a landscaping company and only need a lawn mower, your capital investments may be minimal. However, if you need to get into the heavy equipment like bulldozers, steam shovels, and earth movers, your capital investments can skyrocket. Similarly, a small business that operates out of a food truck can be very efficient, whereas a restaurant that serves hundreds of people every evening might require major capital outlays. Obviously, in business, the less you have to spend out of your pocket for infrastructure and equipment, the more money stays in your pocket as profits. In a perfect business, you would make profits the first week you're in business. The same perfect business would have you making increasing profits over time. Therefore, the ability to make a large income in the short term and in the long term is very attractive. To understand what nonlinear income is, you should first know about linear incomes. If you trade 1 hour of your time for 1 hour of pay or profit, you're experiencing a linear or one-for-one return. You're taking your valuable time and trading it for less valuable money. This is not a good trade usually, and it is limited to your 24 hours a day. When you comprehend this limitation, you will begin to appreciate the idea of being nonlinear. Can you imagine working an 8-hour day but getting paid for 80 hours a day, or 800 hours a day, or even 8,000 hours a day? This may not make sense to most people most of the time, but it is an important idea to consider when you are evaluating a business. It usually requires you to have a system to help you scale your efforts and almost always requires some degree of mentorship. We previously talked about passive incomes, but one very special type of passive or residual income is actually willable. The perfect business would permit you to take the cash flow from your business and will it to your children, grandchildren, or even a charity or foundation that supports something that is important to you. The idea of being able to leave a family business legacy or a permanent charitable cash flow is very attractive and an important part of evaluating a business. A popular but false saying suggests that the only two things that are permanent in life are death and taxes. While taxes are currently a reality for many people, the perfect business would permit you to integrate most of what you do in your life into your business as a legitimate business expense. If you are in business with your family and they live in a different part of the world, travel to and from those family members for the purposes of business could create a tax advantage for you. If your business requires you to prospect for potential new clients, the perfect business would permit those activities as business expenses. Therefore, it becomes very easy to see how integrating your business into your lifestyle can provide a very profound tax advantage. We mentioned in the business section the importance of not having capital expenditures, so this point may seem redundant. However, the financial point to be made here is that everything you own requires you to do something about it. If your business owns many things, you will be required to take care of those many things. This can become expensive, therefore keeping your tangible business assets to a minimum is a terrific idea. If you are in a business that requires you to upgrade software or make regular improvements to your property, infrastructure, or processes, this can become very expensive too. In a perfect world, the perfect business would yield you profits in a format that is valuable to you, not one that will depreciate in time. Many of the world's currencies are subject to inflation because central authorities simply print more money, which degrades the value of the money that's in your purse or pocket. Therefore, you should make being paid with real money and not printed currency an important part of your perfect business checklist. As mentioned in the previous bullet point, profits can be eroded very quickly if you don't preserve them with real money. However, one way to counter the declining value of your revenues and profits is to find ways to link your profits to consumer prices. The idea here is that as prices go up, so do your revenues and profits. When you link your profits to consumer prices, you have taken an important step towards making your business inflation-proof. Finally, let's move on to the esoterics or the non-tangibles. This section is very subjective, but the author, Dr. Phillips, has observed that the items outlined here are important to most of the people most of the time. You may have things to add to your personal checklist, or you might remove some of these items. Either way, this section is about acknowledging that there are certain parts of business that are not about profits and money. Many business owners do what they do because they want to help other people. In fact, some people are willing to work just to break even because the feeling of helping others is such a driving force. It's been said that if you do something you enjoy, you never work a day in your life. This is the idea behind having a business that is fun and enjoyable. If you can find ways to align your passions and your profits, you will spring out of bed every day and fall back into it exhausted after a day of fun, service, and productivity. The novelty associated with solving challenging situations is one of the things that keeps our brains young. Many people thrive on overcoming obstacles and coming up with solutions to benefit themselves and those around them. As we shared a moment ago, if you can find things that stimulate your passions, it will hardly feel like work at all. If you can align yourself with others who share similar passions, that business model can become epic and worldwide very quickly. If you are not passionate about what you're doing, you may want to think about making some changes. Finally, how fun is it to be included in projects and activities that are meaningful and productive? If you can get to a point where your coworkers and business partners are actually your friends who enjoy your company, this is certainly a hallmark of a successful business relationship. Tying this all together, the perfect business is really the business of your life. Ultimately, we do the things we do because we want to enjoy a certain lifestyle. Some people may desire a very simple lifestyle, while others may strive for more. Regardless of what type of lifestyle you have in mind for yourself, you need two things. First, you need time. When you run out of time, you run out of life. Second, you need money. You can have all the time in the world, but without money you have no style. Therefore, lifestyle is not about trading your time for money, but having both time and money. One final point about lifestyle. If you do not have your health, your wealth is of little consequence. The definition of health may differ from one person to another, but for our discussion today, health is the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual ability to enjoy your lifestyle. It's been said that a healthy man has 1,000 dreams while an unhealthy man has only one. This ancient saying suggests that health is probably more important than wealth. Make sure that you are keeping a balance in your life and that your health is a part of it.